In this video, we're going to go over some basic bike handling skills. We're going to talk about shifting gears. Shifting makes it easier or harder to pedal, which results in either more power per pedal stroke or less power per pedal stroke. It's useful to have gears to get up even small hills without putting a lot of strain on your bike and your legs. Not all bikes have multiple gears that can change when riding, but a lot do. If yours does, chances are you have a cluster of gears in the back called the cassette. The cassette has different sized gears attached to the rear wheel, which catch and move the chain. Different gears either make it easier or harder to pedal. Generally, the gear furthest from the bike's center is the hardest gear, and the gear closest to the bike is the easiest. Here is a bicycle's drivetrain. The drivetrain is made up of the chain, the cassette, the chain ring for the front, the crank arm, and the pedals, which are where you put your foot and all the weight and power of your legs. The drivetrain is the go of the bike. In order to change gears, your bike likely has a shifter on the handlebars which pulls a cable to move the rear derailleur. The derailleur is the device that determines which gear the chain is on. This style of shifter is called a grip shifter because you change gears by turning your wrist. But there are many types of shifters, but they're all pretty complicated and they need to be maintained and repaired every so often. The most important thing about shifting gears is that you always have to be pedaling when you shift your gears. When shifting, pedal gently and don't shift if you're standing still. Otherwise, you run the risk of tangling your chain and potentially damaging your shifter or your derailleurs. When you're going down a hill, pedaling might be too easy. So to keep pedaling and pick up speed, you'd want to shift into a higher gear, perhaps 6 or 7. When you're going up a hill, pedaling can be very difficult. So in order to make it easier for yourself, you should shift to a lower gear. That's around 1 or 2. Biking is easier if you keep your pedaling speed as constant as possible, even as you are going up or down hills. We aim to pedal at about 60 to 80 rotations each minute, so that's a little more than 1 pedal stroke per second. One other important thing to remember about shifting gears is that since you have to be pedaling forwards in order to shift, you should be stopping your bike on the gear that you want to start in. If you're in the wrong gear when you're starting, or if you shift and then pedal backwards, you can get the chain all tangled in the gears. So be sure to always be pedaling forwards when you're shifting. And shifting gears doesn't just help with inclines and declines, it also helps on different surfaces or terrains, when pedaling on grass or on gravel. You want to be on a lower gear. And a good way to practice shifting is to find a flat and long course and just play around with your shifts, 1 gear at a time. Once you get familiar with your shifting, you'll be able to tackle going down hills and up hills with ease.